Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Back on the Thursday night edition of Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you after filling in for Mike Gill for the last couple of days, but we are back in the saddle at 6 p.m. and we're going to get to all the latest with the Eagles, with the Cowboys. Chris Franklin, NJ Advanced Media, NJ.com, Eagles beat writer and reporter. He will join us coming up in less than 20 minutes from now to get his perspective on the Eagles as they head to Dallas. Plus, I'll give you my thoughts and picks for tonight's Thursday football game. It's a massive game, by the way. It might be the biggest game of the entire year on Thursday Night Football because the Jets and Jags are both fighting for a playoff spot. So, as always, you can also join the conversation. 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank and CIL. All right, let's not get too deep into the show without getting to the news because both the Eagles and Cowboys made announcements today about who is and is not playing officially this week. And I'm not going to start with Philadelphia on purpose because you need to know that the Dallas Cowboys have a lot more problems than I think we as a collective have discussed this week. Leighton Vander Esch was officially ruled out for this game. Trayvon Diggs' status is uncertain because he was practicing during the week and then he came down with an illness and now it's been a DNP. Also, the Cowboys could be short a tight end because Jake Ferguson's in the concussion protocol. And let's not forget that they're missing Anthony Brown. They're missing Jordan Lewis, two of their cornerbacks. So this is not the Cowboys at their best this Saturday night. Well, Saturday late afternoon, I should say. So when Gardner Minshew does go on the field, it's going to be against the Cowboys team that is not going to be able to come at him with their best. Nick Sirianni today with the news about Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew. Take a listen.
It's looking like it's going to be Gardner. Jalen did everything he possibly could to get his body ready to go, and it just at the end of the day, he's not gonna be able to do it. And he tried like crazy, and I know he still wants to go. That's just the toughness that Jalen Hurts is the toughest player I've ever been around.
Jalen Hurts this afternoon officially ruled out by the Philadelphia Eagles for the game, as well as Tyree Jackson with a knee. So, and then the only guy who's questionable is Zach Pascal. Apparently, he's made some progress with the concussion protocol. As I told you guys on Tuesday and Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN, Reed Blankenship, Kevon Wallace are going to play on Saturday, so you're not losing a lot of depth in the secondary. Really, at this point, you're only losing what is the equivalent of your third or fourth tight end and your starting quarterback. So, all in all, really not that bad of a deal for the Eagles this Saturday afternoon. But I wanted to give you the Cowboys list, but I gave you the Eagles list to show you that, yes, not being without Jalen Hurts is a negative. But you could also argue that Gardner Minshew, if he's not the best, he's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the entire league. If you had to go with a guy for a game or two, there's very few guys more capable of getting the job done than Gardner Minshew. And frankly, you could argue that if he plays well enough for the next 2 games, he won't be here next year because some other team will want him to come in there and be their quarterback savior. I mean, you look at some of the teams around the NFL and their quarterback situations, and you understand what I mean. For goodness sake, what's going on in Arizona? They're starting Trace McSorley this week because Kyler Murray's out and Colt McCoy is out. The 49ers are down to Brock Purdy after losing Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. The Eagles got Gardner Minshew. And I think it's very reasonable to think that Gardner's going to go out there and get the job done. Now, look, I'll give you my official Eagles pick Friday and Saturday, but for me right now, I'm looking at the Cowboys, excuse me, with all their injuries, with all their issues, with all of the stuff they're dealing with in that building. You could argue that the Cowboys are at a disadvantage. And despite that reality, the odds makers, the people who set these lines and make money off of manipulating people to spend money when they don't have to, are trying to tell me and you that the Cowboys are a 4 or 4.5 point favorite. I'm not buying it. You can't tell me that the Cowboys are worth more than a field goal against the Eagles. The Eagles, excuse me. The Eagles are playing at a high level right now. You cannot deny that this Eagles team is more mentally ready for this game than the Cowboys are. The Cowboys just lost to the Jags in overtime. Their defense choked away the lead after they barely beat the Houston Texans the week before. This Cowboys defense has talent. It's supposed to be one of the best in the NFL, and they're having problems. If you're the Eagles, you're looking across at a team that is without one of their linebackers, without 2 of their 3 top cornerbacks, and Diggs is uncertain due to an illness. I'm sure they're trying to wait and see if he can, get it turned around in time for Saturday. I don't know what the deal is. Apparently there's a flu going around the Cowboys locker room, and Micah Parsons was sick. Took him 2 days. He's back to health. So I guess they're assuming that if Diggs is sick today, that by Saturday he'd be good to go, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm holding to the idea that I think that the Eagles can win with Minshew. I genuinely believe that. Because it's the team that is going to win the game. It's not one individual. And I understand that for some of you out there, you're saying, well, what you're saying makes what Micah Parsons said right. Personally, my problem, Micah Parsons said, wasn't him asking the question. It's how he handled what Von Miller said back to him. Otherwise, I don't think that anything was wrong with what he said. There's nothing wrong with asking why is a player great? Is it the player or is the talent around him? Aaron Rodgers, anyone saying that Rodgers or Brady are not future Hall of Famers just because both of them are playing on dumpster fire rosters right now? The Bucs are healthy and Mike Evans can't catch a pass all of a sudden. Meanwhile, Rodgers is throwing to a bunch of guys who no one ever heard of before this year, basically. And they had to get Randall Cobb to come back and hope he had something in the tank to give Rodgers someone familiar to throw to, whose name was an Alan Lazard and Robert Tonyan. I mean, these guys are nothing compared to what other teams have on their rosters. Tua, Jalen Hurts, two of the best rosters in the NFL. And there are two guys who were in the MVP race at different points of the season. I would argue that if the Eagles didn't have a good team and Jalen Hurts was playing well, I'd feel like it's a waste. I think Minshew is going to be just fine. The larger question to me is, this is the best offense the Eagles defense has faced in weeks. Weeks. Yeah. I have questions about how the Eagles defense is going to hold up against this Cowboys offense. We saw the Cowboys last week, just last week, score 34 points and lose. We saw the Cowboys put 40 on Minnesota. They have scored at least 27 points in each of the last 5 games. The Philadelphia Eagles, the last time they allowed a team to score 27 or more points in a game, Green Bay, 40-33. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers and his band of misfit toys in their running game with Aaron Jones, they put 33 up. So, who's got the better receivers, Dallas or Green Bay? Dallas. Who has the better offensive line? Even with their right tackle steal out, it's probably still Dallas. Green Bay's got the better quarterback. Cowboys probably got the better running back in them, but slightly. Who's the better tight end? Dallas. So how do the Eagles handle Dallas's offense? To me, is a larger question than what Dallas does with Gardner Minshew. Because the reality is that the Jags were very fortunate to win that game. Look, every game that Dallas has won before the Jags loss this past week, it was because ever since Dak Prescott came back, he has put them in a position to win. So what do the Eagles do against Dak Prescott in this Cowboys offense? We're going to get all that coming up here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Chris Franklin from NJ.com, NJ Advanced Media Eagles beat writer will join me next to get more into Eagles Dallas, which you can hear this Saturday. Kickoff at 4:25. Pre-game coverage at 3 p.m. right here on home for the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Milton steals it up, Beverly into the lane, left hand jam. Shank Milton ducks the ball. Timeout Clippers. He beats business.
It's Sixers Clippers tomorrow. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
'Twas the month of December, and all through the lot, people were shouting about the offers they got.
I got more for my trade.
These are the best prices in town.
They bailed me out of my loan. I was upside down.
If you're worried about credit, stop. Just apply, because the staff at Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to see you in a new ride. Ho, ho, ho. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Matt Platt Mitsubishi, you're virtually approved. Plus, every new Mitsubishi Outlander SUV puts 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Worried that your credit will keep you from getting a new ride? Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. Simply Matt Platt Mitsubishi. Requalifications exist. Not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand finance. Not approved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Or call 844-946-2315 for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 12/31/22. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
At Lowe's, it pays to be a pro. Now through January 6th, Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards members earn 1 bonus point for every $1 spent on qualifying purchases with the Lowe's Business Credit Account. Redeem bonus points for cool rewards for your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Subject to credit approval, Lowe's terms and exclusions. See Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points and Lowe's.com/L/Pro loyalty term for details. U.S. only.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows that Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. Trust Jenkins just like 97.3 did with our studio. We needed to be comfortable. That's who we called, because there's no need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. Heating and air conditioning, service and maintenance, boilers, ductless air systems, water heaters, leaks, whatever you need done, Jenkins is the one to call at 609-641-6262. Online at jenkinsandsons.com. Let's get more into the Eagles and Cowboys. This is the last major game of the Eagles season, because after this, hey, it's the Saints and it's the Giants, and we all know who those teams are. So to get more into it on Eagles Dallas Week, we welcome back Chris Franklin from NJ.com, NJ Advanced Media, to get more into Eagles Dallas Part 2 for 2022. Chris, how you doing today?
Not bad, man. I appreciate you having me on. I mean, who'd have thought Minshew versus the Cowboys coming into this Christmas Eve week, man? It's been crazy.
Yeah, it's so many different ways we can go about. Here's what I want to start with you. Nick Sirianni talked about at the presser today about how tough Jalen is, how much he wanted to play, but he just couldn't make it happen. And we know what Mailata said after the game, how, when they went and told Jalen to stay down, he basically barked at him, let me the bleep up, get me up off the ground. What does it say to you that this team, they have rallied around this guy so much, and they literally basically, for lack of a better term, let a guy stay in the game even though he was injured?
Well, I think that the fact that they're willing to protect their quarterback says a lot about his character and the way that he's playing right now. I mean, there's been times, and we've seen this, and you've seen it hurt. You can see guys go through the motions when their quarterback's hurt, like, oh, okay, I got to do this because, the TV cameras are on us, and we got to help them up so we're together. But you tell, it's okay. But the fact that, he has that offensive line, he's got all those teammates around him to make sure that he's back is cool. I mean, toughness-wise, I think any quarterback who is really a competitor person, I think you're going to try to gut it out. I think this was a move that they basically tried to save themselves from that. And it could have been one of those things where, when you're really in the moment and you're hyped up, you got that adrenaline going, no, I'm fine. But then once they got inside, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Even though it's like a grade 1 sprain, they had to err on the side of caution with this.
If you were to project out, do you assume that Hurts misses 1 game, 2 games? Like what is a fair expectation for Eagle fans out there?
I think, especially with an injury like this, and it depends on the quarterback himself and the player itself, is usually around a 2-week recovery. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles win this game, especially having wrapped up everything's division, the number 1 seed in the NFC. I wouldn't be surprised if they say, hey, you know what? You get some rest, get it fully healed, and then they bring them back to the Giants like a drive, like a preseason game, and then from there go into bye week and into the postseason. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lose. However, I think that's when you start see the talk ramp up a little bit, and they'll test that shoulder out a little bit more. And then who knows, maybe he goes then.
I'm not going to ask you specifically about Minshew, but I'm going to ask you in this way. I think part of the conversation that's not being had is that Dallas's defense is extremely banged up. Leighton Vander Esch ruled out. Anthony Brown, their corner, he's done for the year. Jordan Lewis, he is out. You have, basically Micah Parsons coming off of an illness. Trevon Diggs, he's uncertain, they're calling it, because he has an illness that didn't practice today. So I don't know if the question should be, how does Gardner going to look? How much it is, are the Cowboys defense good enough to handle the Eagles offense?
Well, I think if Kelvin Joseph's on the other side, they're always going, and he's starting and playing a lot against either Devonta Smith or AJ Brown. I think that's a big question mark for them. I think that defense is still always going to have a chance if Lawrence is going, and I will bet whatever, even getting the garments, that Parsons will play as well too. So I think as long as those two guys are on the field, they're always going to have a chance because they're going to be able to provide that pass rush and make things uncomfortable with quarterbacks, even with this offensive line. So I think as long as they continue to get their pass rush, will be a problem. Now, if the Eagles' offensive line holds up and allows Minshew to scan the field, get the ball out quickly, let him make his reads, I think he can do well against them. And even when Vander Esch out, what have you, I'm pinpointing things. As long as Joseph is on the field, they're going to have a shot.
How big of a role do you think Dallas Goedert is going to have in this game?
I think it's going to be big. I mean, when you look back to that Jets game, I know it's been talked ad nauseum about it, but when you look back at that Jets game, he and Minshew seemed to have something that was clicking. And I know it's a whole completely different defense with what the Jets were doing and everything, but the fact that he let him go up a couple of times, he threw some contested balls that way and everything else like that. Granted, there wasn't an A.J. Brown on that staff, on that receiving core, but when you look at the way he's going, I think there's a good rapport. And when you look at Minshew's game, he excels in the short and intermediate routes. When you see something like that, you see crossing routes with Brown and Smith. But I think where Goddard operates, I think that's a spot where he can excel. So I think he's going to have a big role in this. And it's a good way to get him back and insert into this offense.
Chris Franklin joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. You can follow Chris on Twitter at @CFranklinNews for all your Eagles coverage with NJ.com. Chris, let's flip it to the other side because I'm very curious to see what the Eagles do against the Cowboys offense. For all of the hand-wringing that's been about the Cowboys this year, I don't think people realize that for the Eagles, this is the best offense they've seen since the Packers. They haven't seen a wide receiver group like this pretty much almost the entire year, basically. These are two really good running backs. The offensive line is still, something legitimate. And I don't care what they say on the national shows. Dak Prescott is still a pretty darn good quarterback.
Yeah, it is. And the thing, I think no matter what, if you just stop the Cowboys offense, you have to stop Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. Because what they've been doing lately is they've been putting Prescott under center. They've been letting that's basically giving the running backs enough time to get view the holes and run more effectively. And you're starting to see that. And then they built a play action pass off of that. So if the Eagles allow the Cowboys to keep running out, picking up 4, 5, 6 yards on first and second downs and making it like, say, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2s, you're going to see a lot. You're going to harken back to like the Commanders games and stuff like that. When you're starting to see it's tough to guess what the Cowboys offense is going to do. And then, they're going to take their shots downfield, especially with CeeDee Lamb. And who knows, maybe T.Y. Hilton gets into that flow. But it's all going to have to start with stopping the run. And this is a game where you added Linval Joseph, you added Ndamukong Suh, and then you have a pissed off Fletcher Cox and a pissed off Javon Hargrave for not making a Pro Bowl. This is where you want to see how they respond and stopping that run.
Do you think that this is a game where it might be an opportunity to, for lack of a better term, dare the Cowboys to do certain things? Because we have seen in recent weeks with Dallas that for as good as CeeDee Lamb is, the other guys around him are receivers. They have not been ideal at times, and it feels like that might be the way is to funnel the ball away from CeeDee Lamb in the passing game.
I think short of like bracketing him and bracketing CeeDee Lamb and playing zone on the backside, I think this is one of the things where you just try to establish and doing what you do best. And when you see the Eagles, I see the language they were using that zone. And I'm not talking about Gannon going back and going 4 quarters and cloud coverage and all of a sudden he's just letting them pick it apart like when their Eagles are up by 20. I think you can still do that. I think personally, you just got to make sure you do that one tweak to the Cowboys receiving core because I still really don't. CeeDee Lamb's the best one they got, and I still look at everything else. I think they're adequate and flying average. If you shut him down, and which Slay does, I think you can do. You think you can do a good job. I'm just curious to see if they're going to have him follow around or they're going to play sides again. I think this is a game where you have to have Slay follow CD around. You trust James Bradbury to do his thing, continue to do his thing on the backside, and shutting down the opposing wide receiver across him.
When you mentioned about Slay following him, obviously, this defense is not a pure man defense, not a pure zone defense either. Could there be any wrinkles, you think, on Christmas Eve?
I think if it is, I think it may be a little short. I think it maybe sees disguises. Maybe you put a linebacker one place and then have him run to a zone across the other side of the field. Maybe you do some games where you have Avonte Maddox line up one way and then shoot across and roll out and help with the bracket per se. So stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be anything where it's major where it's like, oh wow, maybe they're having Bradbury follow them around or triple team or whatever, what have you. But I think you'll see little wrinkles that you may have not seen in that first game. But I don't think it's going to be a seismic shift where they say, okay, yeah, we're playing 3 down linemen and dropping everybody else back into coverage more or stuff like that.
If you had to take Jalen Hurts' name out of the conversation, Chris Franklin from NJ.com, in your mind, what is the biggest reason why the Eagles are where they are right now with this record of 13-1, best in the NFL?
I think it's that pass rush because when you look at the constants that are on the offensive side, I know AJ, and I know AJ Brown has done his thing. He's affected everything else. But when you look at that defense, a defense that was second to last in the sacks in sacks last year, when you look at the sustained pressure that they're getting on opposing quarterbacks, that's been huge. I mean, it quick. You normally quarterbacks got like the 4 seconds the ball has to be out. the fact they've shortened that by at least a half second, maybe in a full second at times, because they're able to get Hassan Reddick, you got Josh Sweat able to come around the edge. So I think that pass rush, if anything, I'd give Hassan Reddick. I'll say, if I had to single one person, I'd say Hassan Reddick, because of what the force that he's been on that outside edge, and basically being a trickle down effect on that defensive line. And the season he's having, you see the forced fumbles, you see the sacks, you just see the impact that he's having in forcing in these offensive linemen and making them look silly at times. I think he's the linchpin, and that's helped the pass rush, which has helped make this defense completely look better.
Okay, so speaking of Reddick, let me just focus on him for a minute, because do you think that he has lived up to expectations? Has he exceeded expectations? Because he was the guy that a lot of people were happy when they signed him, but half the people who were happy when they signed him was because he's a local guy. They weren't just because he was like this. I mean, this guy literally has had double-digit sacks now with 3 different teams at this point. And it's almost like he's like a forgotten man almost in some of these conversations.
Yeah, see, I think he's exceeded in a way, because I thought he may have had like 8.5, 9, because when they were talking about how much they were going to have him drop back in the coverage, I was like, oh boy, like this is when he was back with the Cardinals, they had him drop back a lot, and like, oh please, it's like, don't change what he does best. But it's been limited in how many times he still drops back occasionally, but it's been limited to the amount of times he's done that. So I think he's exceeded what he's been able to do. Even if it was all neutral site, like say if he was from, I don't know, say he was from New Mexico, Albuquerque, something like that. If he came over here and when he signed him, I look at what he's been able to do, and I think he's exceeded expectations. And the very thing is, he had his avoidable year now. It's like contract for getting the Pro Bowl, but he got for another 2 years, and I think that you got him in his prime, and I think he can be an impact, and he'll be. I think when all said and done, he'll be mentioned among the names like Hugh Douglas, Trent Cole, and everything for what he's been able to do for that defensive line.
Chris, I want to ask you about the coaching staff, because I was listening to Jordan Davis. He was on the AP Pro Football podcast, and he made a comment about Sirianni that was interesting. He basically said on the podcast, the thing he loves about Sirianni is that he's not that old. He still understands younger guys, and then he connects with the players. They're not just players, they're people as well. And when I'm listening to Jordan Davis, an NFL rookie, like, if Sirianni's having that kind of impact on him, and this team is 18-4 since Sirianni handed the reins of play calling over to Steichen, I mean, what do we say about this guy at this point?
Well, I think it's important. I think that's why you see a lot of the trend going with these younger coaches and the job he's done. I mean, could you imagine Bill Belichick going to, hey, you enjoy that, you enjoy that little boozy, you enjoy that G Herbo? No, you don't see that happening. You got a guy who actually knows what's going on with that, and he talks a lot about connecting, and it's almost like a bingo card. Like when he talks like, okay, connect, but he really believes and buys into that. I think that's the biggest key for him to deliver his message, and that he's got these guys to buy in. He's always talking to all the players, trying to gauge where they're at as well too, but he's still firm in what his vision is for his team. And I look at the job he's done, especially in these first 2 years, and how he's won over the veterans for the young guys. It's a tough thing to do, because these guys, it's not like college where you go in and go, okay, let's go, yes, or whatever you say, because these guys are grown men. These guys make more than he does in time. So with the job he's doing right now, in my opinion, he deserves the Coach of the Year. I know there's a lot of things like Dable and everybody else, but he's doing a job that's worthy of that award.
Yeah, Chris, I got to admit, I'm conflicted on the Coach of the Year award for this reason. To me, now I'm also conflicted on the MVP as well. So that probably should be to me, Coach of the Year is the guy who did, the most like impressive job, right? And it's like,
right.
Sirianni's had basically a year to build a foundation for this year. So to me, if you're giving him Coach of the Year, it's more like coach of the last 18 months. Whereas to me, I'll get a guy like Brian Dable. I mean, we all know how dumpster fire the Giants were the last few years. And he's literally changed the culture. He makes Daniel Jones look competent out there, and they win a game on prime time. And I'm sitting there I don't care what happened with the refs. At some point, I just look at Dable and I'm like, between him and Doug Peterson, what he's doing in Jacksonville, I mean, the Jags might win that division because Tannehill is out for the year, it looks like, with both his ankles messed up. So it's like the Jags could be winning a division, and Dable might get the Giants to the playoffs, and they both walked into just miserable situations.
See, Doug, I think, is a dark horse in all this. I think right now, if I don't have a vote, but right now, if I had a vote, I still go Sirianni. The only reason why, but I think if Doug wins the AFC South, especially beating and knocking off the Titans, then I think he gets it that way. See, the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of why Sirianni is when I look at this, this year could have definitely been a dream team year. I mean, we all remember that time where you have so many big names coming in, and you really do have to manage a lot of those things. And also, he's got the best record, and he has the best record. And some people are like, "Oh, he has the best record because he has the best roster." You have to find a way to manage that. He's been able to find a way to get the young talent to play well, the older talent to play well, manage that stuff, all the snaps that he has to do with that. And then you look at the schemes and everything else. His fingerprints are still very much on his offense when you look at everything. That's the reason why. But I think if Doug Peterson really is able to go, if the Titans implode, which is very possible with Tannehill likely out for regular season with that injury, and Malik Willis going in, and we've seen what Malik Willis has looked like when he's forced to become a passer because he's still developing in that aspect. That's very possible. And I think at the end of the year, we might be saying Doug Peterson's won, but you can't discount the job that Dable did. I really think that he's done well, especially with no receivers up there.
Right.
Oof.
Richie James, man. Richie James.
Hey, can you sign? You have some eligibility left? I mean, if your knees are good, I think you can probably get a job up there if you want to for a receiver. Have speed, have legs, will travel.
Hey, T.O. still looks like he's in good shape, so.
I'm shocked they haven't reached out to him at this point. Between him, Chad, why not get the Teoto show back together? Might as well at this point. They need something.
Well, Chad's too busy doing commentary on YouTube for the World Cup, so he's not available.
Yeah. Maybe they kick her. Hell knows.
right, exactly. And that punter missed that punt in the Eagles game. I mean, I'm just.
The Scottish hammer, he drilled it right into the ground. That was one of the weirdest penalties I've ever seen. It's still it's one of those weird microcosms that it is, but yeah, special teams. I don't know what the state of special teams around the league is. Kind of scary.
It's definitely weird. Before I let you go, Chris, you mentioned about what the job that Sirianni has done, and it kind of reminded me of a question I was asking last week here on the shows, and I was saying, to use the Bill to take the Bill Parcells, analogy about. Let me go shopping for the groceries. It's like, well, who is more responsible for this team? Is it the guy who went and bought the groceries, Howie Roseman, or is it the guy, Nick Sirianni, who made, the 5-course meal dinner? Like, it's almost like a chicken or the egg conversation, right?
Yeah, it is. It's tough because you look at the way, if the Eagles weren't able to get those if Howie didn't spend those 3 draft picks and with the trades with the Saints, and some of his other deals to get in the Miami Dolphins, all that stuff. You had a first-round pick to spend to get A.J. Brown. You got your run stuffer in Jordan Davis because you got your defensive tackles going away. You somehow jettisoned Jalen Reagor, a guy who the Minnesota Vikings announcers don't want anymore now, especially for somehow he got something for him back, even though that looks like it's rough. Like, you look at the job he's done, and he's fixed these things very quickly. But you also look at Sirianni. You look at the way he's implemented, the way he wants, the detail he's putting into this offense, the way that he's basically had the wherewithal to give up the play calling so he could be able to look around and become that CEO type coach. It's really tough to say, okay, who has more success? And they always say it's a collaboration. But it's really tough to see, okay, which one is going to be, because they've both done really well, and you're starting to see those results play out in the field. I mean, heck, that's why they have the record they have.
I mean, Jeff Lurie always said he wants that cooperation between the front office and coach, and it seems like, at least for right now, they got a pretty nice, good synergy going on up there at the NovaCare Center. Chris Franklin covers the Eagles for NJ.com and NJ Advanced Media. You can follow him on Twitter at C Franklin News for all your Eagles coverage. and he joined us right here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Chris, great stuff. Enjoy Eagles, Dallas. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk soon.
Merry Christmas to you, too. You have a great one now. Merry Christmas, everybody.
We'll get back to the text board on the other side. Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Jeff and Ocean, we'll get to your messages and more coming up next.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Join me and Jason McCourty when the Jets host the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville are coming off a big win over the Cowboys and are in the hunt for the AFC South title. Can they keep it rolling against another tough defense in the Jets? Find out from the Meadowlands on Thursday Night Football.
Listen to Thursday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
See the red tag. Save a lot of green at the Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC Red Tag event. Get $500 red tag bonus cash on select new models. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. Lease a new 2022 Chevrolet Colorado Crew Cab. $299 a month for 36 months. Plus, get the BAM Advantage. 2 years of scheduled no-cost maintenance. Save now at Bridgeton Chevrolet Buick GMC. Better get to Bridgeton. Find new roads. Payment deferment excludes leases. $2,500 down on all vehicle offers. See dealer for details.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Here's how we long for Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear.
The world has gone hands-free. However, if you want to put on a pair of sneakers, you still need to bend down and help your feet in. Until now. Introducing Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear. You don't need to reach down to help your heel in. You just step into them and off you go. So what's the secret? Well, there's a special smooth comfort pillow in the heel that helps your foot slide into place. And they stay on just like a pair of laced-up sneakers.
Get hands-free slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm back. This is James, owner of Car Toys. Come celebrate our 29th year here at Car Toys, the only shop offering buy one, get one. Remote car start, heated seat, window tint, detailing. It's all buy one, get one free. 29% off ceramic pro treatment, 29% off labor sale, $288 gift card for $188, $888 for $688, 10 hour of MacGyver value at $1,500 for $888. Install any step bar, folder cover, or radio for $88.88. Free installation on any speaker purchase. Stop the clock at $888 was a hit, so let's ride it to Christmas. All you have to do is press the button, stop the clock at $888. It's Merry Christmas from me to you. Car Toys have something for everyone. We even sell cars and trucks with over 80 unique vehicles and work van in stock. Buy, sell, trade, build, wrap, finance. We do it all. Have Car Toys build you that badass lifted truck, Jeep, custom work van you always wanted. Look for our ad every Sunday in the press of AC. Shop online. Check us out at distinctivecartoys.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Come in and take advantage of me. Stop the clock at 888. It's only at Car Toys, 2800 Fire Road EXT. You can't miss it. It's all lit up. All you have to do is stop the clock at 888. Try not to choke. From our family to yours, we wish everyone a safe and a happy holiday. Car Toys. I'll see you there.
'Tis the season for grilling, and Kingsford Signature Flavors makes holiday grilling more special by making everything taste more delicious. That's good. Made with 100% real spices, Kingsford Signature Flavors come in multiple forms and can be used on any charcoal or pellet grill. So try basil, sage, and thyme for your Thanksgiving turkey, and cumin chili for your Christmas prime rib. Kingsford Signature Flavors. Flavor you can see, smell, and taste. Find at HomeDepot.com.
The world is always on, but you shouldn't be. Put junk sleep to bed. During Mattress Firm's Dream December sale, save up to 60% with Sealy Queen mattresses starting at $279.99. Only at Mattress Firm.
The last thing I remember, I was outside Chicky and Pete's.
Of course, George. Chicky and Pete's is Philadelphia's most decorated and award-winning restaurant.
I give each of the kids a Chicky and Pete's gift card. It's the gift that always fits.
It's almost as good as getting your wings.
Yeah, that's right, Clarence. You can get your wings at Chicky's and crab fries and lobster pizza and a hot beef sandwich.
You see, George, it really is a wonderful place, this Chicky and Pete's.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Can't go to the game? Be at the center of the action at Chickies and Pete's, your favorite local sports bar, and enjoy our exclusive in-game experience. The sound surrounds you. The energy takes over. You feel like you're at the game, but you're only at Chickies and Pete's. Even better, no concession lines. Go to Chickies and Pete's on game day for our one-of-a-kind in-game experience. You're in the game at Chickies and Pete's.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins and Sons. One call does it all. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy, because Jenkins technicians got you covered on everything from heating and air conditioning, service and maintenance, boilers, hot water heaters, leaks, whatever you need, Jenkins has got you covered. Call them at 609-641-6262. Online at jenkinsandsons.com. I'll get you my official pick for Thursday Night Football in just a moment. Excuse me. I feel like, you ever have one of those days where you just start talking and all of a sudden it just feels like you didn't talk for a very long time and your body was like, what's going on here? That's kind of the day I'm having right now. It feels like every time I think I'm good, my throat gets like this like dry tickle in it. It's like ridiculous. Back to the thing we were talking about Doug Peterson, because he is playing tonight with Jacksonville. And, I feel very strongly about things like Coach of the Year goes to the guy who did an amazing job, or MVP is most valuable player, not the best player on the best team award. And I understand many times the way I view things is not what happens. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to stick to my guns. And I think that while Sirianni should be a finalist for Coach of the Year, I still believe, as I was telling Chris Franklin, that what Doug Peterson and Brian Daboll have done at both of their stops, Daboll with the Giants and Doug with the Jags, I think is amazing. The Jags very well could win the division. And with Tannehill basically ruled out for what is basically the rest of the year, it looks like, you could argue that it's on the Jags to not lose now, because you look at the Jags schedule. They got the Jets tonight, and that's Zach Wilson. And you're dealing with the Jets team that's got a good defense, but just a mess at offense. Next week, the Jags, they have an easier matchup. They got the Houston. Now, Houston, plays hard, but the Jags, I think they're playing better right now, if you had to ask me. And then they finish the year with the Titans. Well, the Titans the next few weeks doesn't get easy for them either, because they play Houston, and Malik Willis has looked really rough at times this year at quarterback. Then they got to play on Thursday night against the Cowboys. The only way that the Jags don't win the division is if they basically let the Texans get back into it. To me, if Doug Peterson wins that division, gets the Jags to the postseason, he's Coach of the Year. The job that he has done turning around one of the most toxic cultures in all of sports and turned it into something viable, useful, good, it's incredible. And what Dable did to clean up the Giants and make them a playoff team, I mean, the more I look through the scenarios and the ESPN Football Power Index projections and all that stuff, the only way the Giants don't make the playoffs is if they basically lose out at this point. Because right now, if they win the final game of the year, but they lose the 2 games before that, they're probably in the postseason. And part of that reason is because Washington plays San Francisco this week. I think that's the part that nobody's talking about. Washington, yeah, they have the Browns next week, but they have San Francisco this week. And then they have Dallas the last week of the year. And even if Dallas is not playing for anything, guess what? Washington, they win their final 2 games, they're in. The Giants lose 2 games, play their final game, they're potentially in. Because you have the Lions lingering out there trying to make it to the playoffs. And the Lions play the Packers week 18. Do the Packers actually try to win that game, or do they lay down for the Lions? But the real question for the Lions starts this week with Carolina. If they take care of business with Carolina, you might have the Lions and the Giants in the postseason instead of Washington. And that's with Washington winning the last 2 games of the year. So I'm just impressed with what Dable has done. I'm impressed with what Peterson has done. If you want to tell me you're impressed with Campbell as well, I'll give you that. My 3 finalists, based on how things are playing out right now, it's Sirianni, Dable, and Peterson. If Peterson and the Jags don't win the division, and the Titans do, then maybe I look to Dan Campbell and see if his team made the postseason. Those would be my finalists for Coach of the Year. Over on the text board, 609-403-0973. Texter says, Josh, you're talking about 2 teams that are basically 500 teams. I don't care what the coaches have done. If you're a 500 football team, you're not and should not win Coach of the Year. Well, Texter, appreciate your thought. I disagree. I'm a big believer in changing of culture and guys going in there and fixing things. The Jags were the dumpster fire of all dumpster fires with Urban Meyer last year in the aftermath of that. That was one of the most toxic cultures in all of football. The Giants have been pathetic of an organization as a whole for a few years now, and Daboll went in there and basically cleaned house. To me, that's impressive. Now, maybe not to you. Jeff in Ocean City says, Josh, I see this game as a toss-up that can go either way with the Eagles and Cowboys. Minshew gets a chance to show what he can do and earn some cash next year in free agency. That's from Jeff in Ocean City. He's also he's waiting for the Thursday night pick. Well, here's a Thursday night pick, Jeff, and I appreciate you chiming in. Also, it's good to see and put a face to Jeff in Ocean City. I saw him last night. It was good to see Jeff in Ocean City out and about last night. I don't know why the Jags are favored, except the Jets are favored in this game, except for they're at home. I feel that's the only reason. I like Jacksonville to win the game. I really do. Whether you want to jump on the 2.5, whether you want to take the money line, I think it's what, plus 118, plus 125, depending on what book you're looking at. I really think that Jacksonville wins the game outright tonight. I think that it's not going to be the greatest aesthetic game, but it's going to be extremely competitive. I think Jacksonville pulls off the win tonight. I wouldn't be surprised also if the Jets don't score a lot of points. The over-under is 18 for the Jets in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 2017 Jacksonville kind of game, which would mean you're right around the over-under number. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with the Schweiner.